But as far as Vince goes, I was talking about this a lot online because it was obvious that it was a Vince booked show from the beginning. I don't care what anyone says. I think someone said that there was a total of 28 minutes of wrestling in 3 hours. That there was only a few minutes of wrestling within the first hour, which was commercial free, which was
I got so excited for the commercial
insane.
free. I got
Yeah.
so excited, and it was just another letdown.
Yeah, so I think I didn't calculate it. I just saw a lot of people saying it was 28 minutes of wrestling, which is again very much on trend with what Vince did. Not to mention every other second it was a segment of someone talking, or it was a video package, or then it was a backstage segment, then it was a video package, then it was an in-ring segment. It was like everything was a segment. And the part that doesn't make sense to me is Vince McMahon owns, or did own, I guess still partially owns, a wrestling company, a professional wrestling company. So why do you not like to let them wrestle? Like, why
Yeah.
are you so obsessed with segments? People didn't come there to see them talk on a microphone. Like,
Oh, if I like, that's the other thing I haven't even taken into consideration. If I was at that show, I'd be rip shit.
I'd be emailing wanting my money back if I'm being honest, because I'd be like, I
Oh,
came and saw
we're
what
taking that we're taking
I
that
would.
step.
I would. If I go to a wrestling show, I'm not there to see 3 matches in 3 hours,
Yeah,
because then we didn't even get a main event. So,
and
and
that pissed me off.
so for people who are not aware of everything that Vince had to do with this, first of all, Vince was in Gorilla all night. Vince had his own office, which is something that he had before he retired. He has an office in the back again. Um, Minutes before and within, as the show was going on, he cut matches, including 2 women's triple threats, and he added in the Omos versus Elias match. And then he added, I don't know, I think it was the women's tag match, which is the most bizarre thing, and I think this went over people's heads. Why are now Liv Morgan and Raquel, who just lost at WrestleMania, getting a tag team championship opportunity next week? The whole point that we were being sold of the women's tag match at Mania was to become like the number 1 contenders. So why did Ronda win and Shayna win? Like, that is Vince booking. Bailey was cut last second out of coming out with Damage Control in their match.
Yeah, why?
I don't know. So he cut that. The whole Brock Lesnar thing and him going off the rails, flipping off the camera, that was so for Vince McMahon. I don't care what anyone says. He knows that he's not supposed to cuss on live TV, and he did for like a whole 5 seconds. So just swearing up a storm in the ring. Comes back out, knows you're not supposed to flip off the camera on live TV, did that shit anyway. Like, it was just such a mess from beginning to end. You don't even have to see news about the frustration that people are having. It was obvious. You could tell Seth wasn't happy. You could tell most of them weren't happy.
I
So,
saw a Fightful report that morale hit like
yep.
an all-time low.
Yeah, I watched I watched a good chunk of their live stream last night with Sean and Denise. Yeah, so it's already bad. I just the only hope that I have, which someone made a good point, was that Vince was already in town for WrestleMania. So for him to be at Raw, it's like, okay, sure. Maybe it was just a one-off thing because he was already in LA, so he was there for Raw. But if he travels for SmackDown to Portland, Oregon, or if he's there next week in Seattle for Raw, that's the end. Like, you can't deny that he's not pulling the strings, because there would be no legitimate reason for him to be at either show, but especially next week. There's no reason.
It
But
just made no, like, none of the show made sense to me at
no,
all.
it didn't feel, there was nothing that played into what happened over the weekend. Other than
It
like Theory being like, I beat John Cena.
and he
Okay.
like hammered it home like way too much.
Again, though, remember he was a product of Vince. So I mean, remember what his character was before he got this this
Yeah.
makeover. So my
Golly.
thing is, and you kind of mentioned it, they mentioned a lot about the outpouring of love on social media during WrestleMania, and how it was like the most interactions that they've had ever. And they're just citing all of these good things that happened from WrestleMania. I would really, really, really hope that their social media team or Triple H himself or the Endeavor people are letting them know that literally every single top trend on Twitter last night was about how bad Raw was. I mean, even when it was I don't know, midnight my time almost. I think I went to bed at like
Midnight
11:30.
your time?
11:30 my time, which would have been 2:30
Oh,
your
I'm
time.
asleep. I was
Yeah.
asleep at that point.
Every trend was still about how Raw was bad. It was like Vince McMahon, Raw was the worst. Like it was all of these things that were just about Raw. So I'm like, someone needs to bring their attention to this because this should matter specifically to the Endeavor people because you just bought this company. You enabled this man. You gave him back a title. You let him back into the company and gave him power. And this is what he produced for you.
Yeah,
Like,
it
that's
just
a
makes
big
absolutely no
yikes.
sense.
I'm not going to sit there and like support anything that they're doing if Vince is calling the shots again because that's ridiculous. You don't just leave and think that people are going to forget about your sexual abuse allegations, think that now it's a wash because your company was bought, fake taking responsibility on live TV, also lying about how involved you're going to be, and then continue to push the bullshit that you want on TV that everyone hates after seeing a massive increase in sales, viewership, ticket sale, like everything, merchandise sales, like skyrocket numbers.
Yeah.
And you decide to put that shit out.
How do you not see the improvement? And if you don't get it, so what? It's okay.
Well, you have to remember he's going to feel spiteful of that. He's going to be pissed off that it's been as good as it has been with him gone. That's going to piss him off.
It is, but that's the wrong reaction.
I know, but this is Vince McMahon we're talking about. Like, this isn't shocking anymore. Like, this is just who he is. This is a man who brought in the NWO and buried them because he was pissed that he didn't create them. So, like, this is like the same thing. He's pissed that Triple H did so well in his absence that he's willing to just be like, all right. Because the thing is, too, that's crazy is there's nobody who can stop him. Like, I almost wish that Triple H would just tell him to piss off, or at least just like tell the talent, don't listen to him, listen to what I'm telling you. Because like, I know that I can't imagine that would be easy to do. And I'm not saying that, but it's just so ridiculous at this point. And it's clear everyone was saying that when he unexpectedly retired, that they knew it was temporary and it wasn't real. He was still checking in and he was still around. He just wasn't wanting to be seen by anybody until he got closer to his sale. And obviously the first several companies that were showing interest in him said they didn't want Vince, that they were only interested in the company if Vince was not going to be involved. Hence why they didn't sell the company to those people, because Vince said no. Vince wanted to be a part of the company. Endeavor is making sure that he's a part of it. He's on their website as like, a chairman. So, I mean, I don't understand how you don't take a hint that your own fucking family didn't want you, that they all voted against you, that you had to manipulate and weasel your way back into the company by firing people that didn't want you there, by bringing in yes men so that you could get back in there, and like, using your power to maneuver around the rules to get what you wanted. Like, how do you think that that's creating a good atmosphere? Not to mention Triple H is your son-in-law. I can't imagine how difficult of a relationship that must be, with Stephanie leaving because you're such an asshole, and Triple H trying to take over in your place, which you groomed him to do, and then you don't even trust him enough to let him do it. It just boggles my mind. Like, I'm not surprised. It's just like, it's very frustrating because
it's honestly sad.
It is. It's just
sad. At the end of the day, it's sad.
And I don't know what happens from here. Like, I don't know what they can do to make it better. I think at this point, the sale isn't final. So I was saying to some people last night, why doesn't just WWE, or why doesn't Endeavor just back out? Rescind your offer. Be like, if this is the shit you're going to put out attached to our name, we're not we're not doing this, or at least threaten it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because the sale, they haven't signed on the dotted line. There is no sale. They only announced that it was like, you know, it's going to happen. But I think they said they have until like February of 2024 to sign or something. But if I were them, that I think they're the only ones who will be able to maybe put Vince in his place. I think they're the only ones because they're the ones who gave him the title. They're the ones who will let him back in and have enabled his behavior. So that's the only way that I can. And as investors, you need to make sure that they're putting out a good product because now your name is attached to that. So if people are complaining and they're saying this is horrible, I'm not going to watch, viewership dips, merchandise sale dips, whatever, that's on you now. That's not just on Vince.
It is.